Welcome, my friends, to another edition of the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Today's going to be part 3 of our series on the line portfolio recommendations tools. So we used USA number 1. We used T. Rowe Price yesterday. Actually, that's not true. We used T. Rowe Price 2 days ago. I had about a 25 to 30 minute video of Vanguard yesterday where I was hunting and pecking, and the Vanguard website is I didn't want you to watch that. It was absolutely an exercise in futility. Initially, I said that about USA. I'm taking that back. The Vanguard one is tough. So let's show you what I'm talking about here, because this was it was painful. So I had the video where I was doing it for about probably 25 minutes or something like that. But man, I was going back and forth, running all the various things. I was just looking for, give me a recommendation. That's all I want, a recommendation of your funds, even so I can put it in the system so I can say, okay, this is the portfolio that Vanguard has as his recommendation versus T. Rowe Price versus Fidelity versus Schwab versus USA and blah, blah, blah. I couldn't find that to save my life. It was crazy. And the personal advisors at Vanguard, they have this new financial planning human/robo advisor mix. And actually, it's somewhat interesting to me. I think Vanguard, I think all of these companies probably oversell what they're offering there because they're acting like it's full-fledged financial planning. It's not. It's investment allocation, a little bit of computer Monte Carlo analysis, and maybe rebalancing. And that's it. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I think Vanguard charges 35 basis points, which is 1/3 of 1%. That's pretty good. But you're not really getting full financial planning, not even anywhere near that at all. And so while that's good, it almost be like going to an accountant who's holding themselves out to do all kinds of accounting work, but actually all he does is a 1040 easy. All right. So it's maybe a little bit harder than that, but not much. And so it was disappointing. But with that said, I think this is the way of the future. We call the compression of fees in the financial planning industry. And hopefully we'll get away from the investment fees and more to the financial planning fees, because that's where the actual real work is done. Up to this point, people have been getting by on charging 1 to 1.5% investment management fees without offering any kind of financial planning. And even if the financial planning they say they do, I would say it's somewhat Spartan. In this case, the Vanguard is perfectly aligned like that, but their fees are only 35 basis points. And the all-in fees are going to be less than 50 at this 1.5% because you're going to get Vanguard mutual funds or ETFs, which are just dirt cheap. That's tough to beat. If all you're focused on is investments, it's going to be tough to beat Vanguard. That's for sure, because you are getting a human being, not just a computer software model. You're getting a real live person. And on top of that, they are doing the rebalancing for you. And it's a very, very reasonable fee. So that's the financial planning industry. Hopefully they can learn something from that, because that model is taking over for sure. So let me minimize myself here. I'm moving awful slow. All right. So let me show you. So I went through to try to figure out Vanguard. It wasn't fun. And so I went to personal investors, get help deciding how to invest my money is what I want. I went to go to the site, and I'm not going to walk you through all the trials and tribulations I have. I'll show you exactly what I finally was able to find from Vanguard. And you see this happy guy listening to some tunes with his 12-inch LPs there. That's pretty cool. But man, so I went to Vice and Retirement. And I said, okay, retirement planning. I'm age 20 to 49. And I'll show you exactly what I went through. Again, I did this for like half hour yesterday. I stopped the video. I went back and did on my own. I was cooking up some chicken on the grill. And I said, okay, so find the right retirement account for you. Got questions? Learn more. Find the right retirement account for you again. And so sure you have enough money to retire. So I said, let me click on this. And yesterday, hey, look at that. Nothing was loading yesterday here. So at least it's loading here. This is just their retirement calculator, which nothing wrong with that, but I just want to see their investment models. And I might come back to that at some other webpage or some other YouTube channel episode I do. So that's not what I'm looking for right now. I want to see what their investment recommendations are with a portfolio of $50,000. So I said, okay, let me find the right retirement account. And all I want to see is learn more about. I just want to find retirement funds for your account. So this is the rabbit hole I went down yesterday. There's an account investment, blah blah blah. and I just mix of assets. And what happens, and I'm not going to go through this again here today, but when you go through their questions, or build your own retirement portfolio, learn more about picking an asset mix, see what to look for in choosing investments, learn how Vanguard can help, use our handy tools where it has clicked on it. Nothing explicitly jumps out in terms of the funds they recommend. And I tell you, I went through all kinds. So we're going to hit retirement funds, decide what to buy. I must have clicked on every single link that's on this webpage actually, and nothing came up. It was odd. I don't know what, and even this guy's might be, can't imagine it's a broken link. That's not doing much for me. So picking an asset mix, and I don't see anything happening there. And I know it's not my wife. There we go. Okay, so that was I guess a broken link or something. So anyway, here's an asset mix, and all this say is get an asset mix, and I did that, and it just says these stocks versus bonds versus cash, and that wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for the specific investments it's going to tell me. So the asset mix weren't what I was looking for, and so I just went through all this stuff. Let me just go back real quick to try to get a gauge of what they're recommended. I'm looking for the recommendations for their portfolio, decide what fund to buy, and that isn't taking me anywhere. That is weird. So let me just right click on it and see if we can't get open a new tab and see if that brings us anything here. Retirement funds, let's see what we got. So let's see here. All right, what funds, and that same thing as what we just had. So decide what funds to buy. That says retirement funds. That says retirement funds. That is definitely a redundant. I'm just looking at the URL down here. Savings / it's the exact same website, exact same page, exact same URL. So that's odd. All right, so this leaves a lot to be desired. And I mean, again, I spent some quality time on this yesterday, and I really did not find what I was looking for. Now, if you go to advice and planning, they do have their partner with advisor. The problem with this is I filled out their questionnaire, and then it says, "Are you ready to get started?" by essentially having to talk to somebody, and that's not. I didn't want to talk to somebody, and so I did all this right here, and maybe I'll even walk you through it real quick to show you how what happened here. So I hit log on. I'm not a Vanguard client. I did create a dummy portfolio, actually, a dummy username. Yep, Josh Snuffy. There we go. So I'm not a Vanguard client. I just created this dummy one so I could see what they were going to offer. And so let's log on here. As I'm doing that, let me just check my phone and make sure I have some juice. I was uploading another video to YouTube on my phone. And let's see if that guy is still okay. Looks like it's still loading. All right, so here, I did all this right here. Blah, blah, blah. Add all those things. I'll show you exactly their question. Their questionnaire, to their credit, was much, much more detailed than any of the other ones we had, which was good. All right, disagree. So, T. Rowe Price and the USA ones are very, very, elementary. Vanguard's was definitely deeper detailed in terms of the questionnaire, that's for sure. So I'll just kind of go through what I'm doing here. All I'm trying to do, again, is get them to produce a recommended portfolio. I'll show you what the net result here is here. And then after that, submit profile. So watch this. You hit submit profile, and they're going to say, watch. They'll say, are you ready? Hold on just a second. Thought I just did that. Let's do it again. Let's do this again, my friends. Let's see what we have. I'm hit submit, and look at that. Just so not much is going on here. So again, I had some issues with it. I'm having different issues today with the Vanguard. There we go. To get the most out of initial consultant with an advisor, add as much information as you can. Are you ready to submit? And no, I'm not. So the issue is, it looks to me like if you hit submit, you'll get a time to set up an appointment with an advisor. Well, I tell you what, let's just see what happens. I'm not sure. And I was just trying to get this one to have to talk to somebody. And I can't imagine Vanguard makes you talk to somebody before you get a recommended portfolio, but maybe they do. I mean, again, this is the model that they're going to use with their advisors. So let's see. In order to create that. Yeah, okay, see here. In order to create your plan, the advisor needs some additional information. So, I didn't want all that. I don't want to talk to somebody at this stage. I wanted to just get a recommended portfolio suggestion like I was able to get it from T. Rowe Price and from USA. So let's just close out this, because ultimately I was able to find a nice PDF that they use, Vanguard ETF Strategic Model Portfolios. Remember, just be advised, I was on this website for a long time. I could not find, and I like to think I'm not stupid, how to get the recommended allocation. Again, I was able to get the recommended allocation for an asset allocation mix, stocks versus bonds versus cash. I was not able to get any specifics on the funds or ETFs that go in there. And I can't remember how I came across this. And I'm going to save this for future reference because I actually like this quite a bit. And, again, I'm a fan of Vanguard. I just, they didn't have what I was looking for. Now they'll give you a allocation with specifics in there, which I like. And so, I don't know, can I bring this up a little bit? Yeah, I'll see here. Make this a little bit bigger. Here we go. All right, so let's just say, remember, we're doing 70-30 is what we were at T. Rowe Price and USA. And here they're saying if you're a 70-30 investor, you're going to have 41.2% of the total stock market, 27.4% in the international stock market, 13.7% in the international or total bond, and 5.9% in the international bond. So basically 4 ETFs. And look at the average cost, 0.4 bips, 11 bip. 4 basis points, 11 basis points, 5 basis points, and 12 basis points. For simplicity, we're going to do this. We're going to say 0.12 plus 0.05 plus 0.11 plus 0.04. 31 bips, we're just going to divide by 4 for simplicity, even though it would be actually cheaper than that. We're talking about 7 basis points for a fee on these ETFs, and you got everything covered for basically 7 basis points. That's less than 0.1%. And I'm telling you right now, that's incredibly, incredibly cheap. And you don't even have to keep the 2% cash if you don't want. I'm just looking at what the model portfolio says, which is roughly 40, 30, 20. Was that 40, 30, 20, 10, essentially? So 40% in domestic stocks, of which the total stock market is domestic stocks, which is 75% of that 40% is large cap, 25% roughly is small cap and mid cap. That may or may not be too little for small cap and mid cap. For me, I'd rather have some more on a small cap size, but still a nice exposure in international. We're talking almost 30% in international, and about 10% or 30% total in bonds, of which domestic bonds equate to 20% of that, and of your total portfolio. And international bonds are another 10% of your total portfolio. Pretty good portfolio, my friends. Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat that. No other way around that. Now, the drawback here is you got to do it yourself. Now, you could hire Vanguard personal advisory services to do all this for you for 35 basis points. And again, don't quote me on that. I think that's what it is the stuff I've read. And they're bringing assets in there like you would believe. If you just want asset allocation, portfolio rebalancing, and somebody you can call to bounce some ideas off, it's going to be tough to beat this program. But it's not a financial plan. I just want to be advised there. But look at that. You're talking, let's say, 35 basis points for the Vanguard asset personal advisory services plus, was that 7 basis points? You're talking less than 50 basis points all in for, it's going to be tough to beat that, my friends. It's going to be tough to beat that. And that's pretty fundamental. Now, you can always say, I want more. I want to be more in equities and less in bonds, which is probably not a bad idea. But whatever it is, your risk tolerance is, I don't care. But that's pretty interesting. And again, this is the Vanguard, advisors.vanguard.com, IWE. I'm not sure what that stands for, IWE. And it doesn't say anything up there. Maybe I'll put a link to this in the show notes for you can gather it yourself. Because if you want to do this yourself, all you got to do, man, is just buy these 4 ETFs. There's your tickers right there. Vanguard probably, USA probably charges you $5 a trade for those. That is a phenomenal diversified portfolio, much more diversified than USA was for sure. Because remember, the USA one in particular, T. Rowe Price was pretty diversified too. That might have been too diversified, frankly, because there's no way you can keep track of all those different funds because they had like 16, if not 20 in there. The Vanguard's got 4. Awful hard to beat the diversification there. Total stock, total bond, total international stock, total international bond. You're going to have just thousands of holdings in there. From a diversification perspective, from a fee perspective, Vanguard takes the cake of the other two, bar none, without question. It's not even close. Ease of management, Vanguard takes the cake of the other two without question, just because there's 4 funds to choose from, or ETFs in this case. The drawback is you got to do it yourself. All right. Well, the USA one, you had to do it yourself too. They had spit out this portfolio for you, and T. Rowe Price, you had it. Well, the one you had the advice pay, you didn't do by yourself. You paid them. That was a pretty good deal. That was about 90 bips all in. So that was about twice the cost of Vanguard's all in. But there was no actual portfolio management fee. It was just the internal expenses of the mutual funds. Just pretty heavy diversified, but you're basically paying for them to do it for you. So you don't really have to keep tabs on it. That was pretty favorable. I mean, both those are better than USA self-directed one, bar none. The USA robo-advisor, that was pretty good. But again, I don't know what the fee was. And the Vanguard one, you actually get a human being you can talk to as opposed to just an algorithm. So far, Vanguard, hands down, beats the other two without question. I'd probably go... Again, I swing back and forth between the USA Robo Advisor and the T. Rowe Price. I'd probably go USA Robo, Vanguard first, bar none, USA, and then T. Rowe Price is a close third there. But Vanguard, in this case, if you're doing it yourself, you can't beat Vanguard. If you're going to hire a professional, and the options are T. Rowe Price's advice pay, and again, they're going to do it all for you. And my presumption is you can talk to somebody. If I recall correctly, that's what it said. I don't think you talk to somebody every day, but you do have a service team you can talk to because you're paying them. And then the USA, I don't know if you can. I know the robo-advisor, when they were rolling that out when I was there, was geared towards people not to call in. I hate to say it like that, but it wasn't geared towards having a conversation with a personal advisor at all. And so the Vanguard one, again, takes the cake on all 3. It's just no getting around that because you get a person, not a computer, a person. And I don't know what the structure is, how many times you talk to, I have no idea. But you get a person, you get cheap model portfolio, heavily diversified, simple to manage. It's going to be better than the other two, I think. So they also give the Chicago Center for Research and Security Prices a bunch of different. So if you don't want to just go this simple with a core series right here of the 4 Vanguard ETFs, you can come down here and say, well, I want to add a little bit more, growth, value, small cap, again, 6 basis points here. Here's the allocation. I mean, it has everything you possibly could want. You look, we're going to have actually a specific 5.5% of small caps right there. We're going to have developed and emerging markets. So you got a little bit more in terms of specificity, if you specificity. A little bit more to specific investments as opposed to just a broad 4. I frankly don't think it matters much, but if you do want to be a little bit more in charge and say, I want a little bit more small, a little bit less large, this is probably something better for you. Here you go, what's that? 9, 10 ETFs, 4, 7, 8, 10 ETFs there. I mean, you can't beat this stuff. I mean, look, and then they got the S&P series. Look, it's just so. Remember the other day I was talking about the total stock market index, the S&P 500 plus the extended market index equals the total stock. So I probably like this best because let's just say you're a little bit top heavy in large cap domestic stocks. You say I want to be a little bit more towards small caps. Well, if you just do the total stock index, the first one we saw here at Vanguard, you wouldn't be able to do that. Here you can. Here you can say I want 50% in small and mid, which is this extended market index. And I want 50% large caps, which is that. The other one's going to be 75 large, 25% mid and small. This, you can do whatever you want. So it does take maybe a little bit more manipulation, but not much. I mean, my goodness, pretty easy to do. You might say I want to be more in emerging markets than international. However you want to do it, does give you a little bit more manipulating that can be done here. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I mean, look at the fees here. Even emerging markets ETF at 14 bips. Yeah. Remember I was showing the USA emerging markets fund at 1.51? I mean, which do you think is going to outperform? I hate to sound like that because I don't know, but 1.51 versus 0.14. That's going to be tough for USA to overcome that bogey, that's for sure. And I think they have Russell too. Yeah, they got the Russell one. So they got a bunch of different portfolios you can choose from. So as you can tell, I'm a big fan. I think the Vanguard stuff just kicks ass and take names, pardon my French. I have always been a big fan of mortgage-backed securities, by the way. I did not know they had their own specific ETF for that now. Well, they've had it for a while, since 2009. I like that. I've always been interested in the mortgage-backed securities. If that's the Ginnie Mae, the Government National Mortgage Association, Ginnie Mae, I've always had a fond heart for Ginnie Mae. So I think that I'm sure Ginnie Mae's are in the MBS, the Vanguard mortgage-backed securities one. But don't go out and buy it just because I talked about it. I don't know if it's appropriate for you or not. No idea. So that's the Vanguard. I'm a fan. I don't like how you could not get a recommendation at all. This would give you the recommendations for sure. I have to do a little diving into this. Now, again, I'll put this in the show notes. I don't like how you had to talk to somebody to get their personal recommendations. I mean, I kind of get that, actually. I guess Vanguard is saying we're not doing the robo-advisor. We're doing the robo-advisor, but we're going to attach them to a human being. And I think that's a wonderful model. I do. So far, so good. This is my favorite of the three that we've talked about so far. Tomorrow is going to be Fidelity. And then the next day was Schwab. I took a cursory look at Fidelity before I did this video, and I was pretty surprised what I found. And generally, Vanguard I like more than Fidelity because Vanguard is investor owned. Fidelity is owned by the Johnson family. I don't know the Johnson family. They don't know me. They don't care about me. I have nothing to comment. But when you're owned by the investors, owned like a mutual company, you're going to be more inclined to serve your investors. And again, this is just my take. So Vanguard for me versus Fidelity, always got to step up on that simply because they're owned by the investors, where the Johnson family, a private entity, owns Fidelity. But I was pretty surprised to see what the offerings Vanguard had. A good buddy of mine I used to work with told him about Schwab, and he's stoked on the Schwab stuff. So I haven't looked into that too deeply, but he's all about Schwab. So we'll see. We'll see about the two. But as we stand here today, we've done USA, T. Rowe, and Vanguard. Bar none, Vanguard takes the cake. There's just no other way around that. So hope this helps. Always put notes in there. Thumbs up. Always help me a lot. Thumbs up. Comments, concerns, anything you have, let me know. And then don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the little notification bell. I don't know if y'all can see that, but there's a bell right there for notifications so you can be notified of future content. I'm working on, and I'm going to ask you a question. I'm thinking about embedding this tax calculator on the front page of my homepage at heritagewealthplanning.com, but I don't want it to be too confusing. So I got my quiz on there right now. I'd like to get your suggestions on if I should have the calculator in there or not. I'll probably put the calculator in there tonight just so I'll be there for a couple of days. But take a look and tell me what you think. I don't want it to be too busy, but man, the calculator is so awesome. So awesome. I'm going to use that all the time with clients. And if you don't hire somebody, you should be using it too, bar none, because it's just fantastic. The drawback is the calculator doesn't tell you what you could be doing. That's where I get my pay, is to say, okay, we found the calculator. We determined where the opportunity lay. Now what? Well, that's where I come in as a professional. But frankly, I'll tell you what you need to do on the YouTube channel. Now, you can always call me and say, hey, I'm willing to pay you a fee to talk to me. I'm willing to do that, but you don't need to necessarily. I won't yell at you if you did. But I've been doing this for 20 odd years and many hours. So I probably know maybe a little bit more than most people out there. But if you want to do it yourself, more power to you. But if you want to hire a professional, let me know. I'll be happy to chat with you on that. All right, that's it, guys. We'll see you next time on the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Thanks now.